Hi guys, Jay Knowlton here once again. And last month I started it's not really a series, but I wanted to talk about my income in Japan, especially as I moved into self-employment, a kind of life of freedom to do whatever I want, making things on my own and just talking about how I'm doing. Hopefully, it will be interesting. Maybe it could be an inspiration to somebody. But I'm going to talk about my May income for 2026, living in Japan, self employed, kind of because I'm still receiving salaries from my previous job because of the way that the Japanese payment system works. I'm going to try and do this in one cut because I'm so lazy. I don't like editing. I'm really bad at editing. I know editing is probably the reason why that I haven't had much success on YouTube because I just don't like doing it. I can't be bothered learning how to do it. So I'm going to try and do this in one cut and see how it goes. So in May 2026, I had six different sources of income. Most of them were quite small, but some of them were pretty big. But I do have a new source of income, which I'm actually going to talk about first. So there is a platform of you can build like communities of like teaching staff or whatever. It's called School, like Skool, and basically I decided to create a English video service. So basically, what it is I am gonna make videos teaching English, and the kind of brand name is Grow Global English with Jake. That's me, by the way. So the basically today was like kind of my not launch, but today was the day that I started telling people about it. But yesterday, I actually did tell one of my students, and they bought a year subscription. And that year subscription netted me 9,400 yen. So that's my first source of income for this month, 9,400 yen through school. So, to be honest, my goals for school, it might be something I talk about in a different video, but my goals for school are quite modest. I'm not looking to get like thousands of paying subscribers immediately. I'm kind of like building it up. I want to make sure I've got like a big library of videos that people can watch. I'm making videos about grammar, about idioms, phrasal verbs, but then also lessons for kids, gaming videos where I play Minecraft, get those kids involved. But yeah, so my modest goal is maybe like 100 paying subscribers by December, the end of December this year. And basically, 100 monthly paying subscribers would equal about 80,000 yen a month. The reason why this was 9,400 for one subscriber is because they just paid for a year flat out, which was very nice. I'm grateful for them. But yeah, so source number two is a private student I talked about last month. I just go to her house, teach her 3 1-hour lessons a month, and she gives me 10,000 yen. And she always gives me sweets, snacks, and cakes. And I really just enjoy talking with her. And source number three is the AI work that I talked about last lesson. Now, I kind of talked about how it pays like 2,000 something an hour. But to be honest with you, the system that I'm doing it on, they have a daily budget, and it usually lasts about 4 or 5 hours before that budget runs out. But they keep changing when the budget resets, and they changed it so it resets at midnight Japan time. And to be honest with you, like I stopped teaching at 1 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning. So the last thing I want to do is then just do like 2,000 yen an hour work. So I didn't really do that much this month. So I made 12,500. And I'll be honest, that might be the last month that I do it because I don't feel like the reward for that work is necessarily worth the time of day that I have to do it. Because there's something later at the end, especially at the end, that is going to kind of blow things out of the water. So The fourth source of income that I had from May was actually 20,940 yen. And that was a payment for a job that I've done that isn't available to be seen yet, and I can't really talk about it yet. All you can just do is assume that it was really cool. So I received payment for something I've done. It is on YouTube. It will be on YouTube. It'll actually be everywhere. It's kind of a podcast appearance. I don't know if you can kind of put two and two together if you're in the Japan space or not. But yeah, so that's my fourth source of income. Sorry, I can't go in too much detail of it at the moment. And basically, rather than a payment, it was just the money to cover my expenses, which, to be honest, I was very happy about because I didn't know they were going to do that. I'm the kind of person who's too shy or feels too rude to ask, so I didn't ask about it. Source number five, and the last two are like much bigger because between the first four, I think the first four equal to about 54,000 yen, which to be honest is not bad considering they didn't take too much time. However, source number four is 316,000 yen, and that's basically my April paycheck from my job. So, as I talked about last month, I basically worked 1 week at my previous company and then I used the rest of the month as paid holidays. And so basically, my salary for my previous job was around 450,000 yen. But because the school had closed, I had lost all of my allowances in terms of, for example, my principal allowance or my social media allowance. I lost all of those allowances naturally because I wasn't doing that job anymore and I was just using paid holidays. So I received 316,000 yen. To be honest with you, because it was just paid holidays, I'm very grateful for that money. I do know that within the company itself, they've now made a policy to say that if somebody's leaving the company, we need to get them to use their paid holidays before they left, because that's quite expensive considering I'm not working there. And then finally, and this is why I'm feeling quite positive about the future of my self employment, at least for the next few months. So I started going, a bit more full time on italki. I added a few more hours of lessons a week. And my income for italki for the month of May was 490,000 yen. Now, I will be honest and say that I did raise my prices as well, because obviously I am taking on the risk of if I don't have a lesson, I don't get paid. So, luckily today, I had two lessons in the morning, a 30-minute lesson and a 45-minute lesson. And those two lessons paid 5,500 yen for an hour and 15 minutes. And then in the evening from 8:30 till 1:30, I had maybe 4 hours and 45 minutes worth of lessons, which paid around 20,000 yen. So for one day, that is 25,000 yen. Now, that is a pretty good day considering it's just 6 hours of work. However, tomorrow, I've decided that I'm going to go to Costco in the daytime, so I'm not going to teach in the morning. And in the evening, I want to do a TikTok live stream just because I want to sell my school a little bit as well. So I'm only going to be teaching 3 hours tomorrow, which will get me an income of around 12,000 yen. So that's going to be much less. So basically, I have to raise my prices a little bit just to kind of counter the potential ebbs and flows in my salary. Now, the thing that I think a lot of people mistake when they do become teachers online is they only think about their work as the hour that they are teaching. For example, they'll do a lesson for like 2,500 yen, which for an hour, and they'll be like, yeah, 2,500 yen an hour is quite fair. But it's not really just about the hours work. When you are teaching online and you're self employed, just like if you were running a business with a a building, there's so much to account for, like utilities and rent. It's not really good enough just to say like, oh yeah, 2,500 yen an hour is quite good. You have got to pay for all of your lifestyle now. You've got to pay for the internet, you've got to pay for the electricity, you've got to pay for example, I use Canva, I use a camera, I use a microphone, I've got a Stream Deck for just like the keys to make things a little bit faster. If I want to get I bought a new MacBook Pro because I want to make sure that everything's running smoothly. Those costs have all got to be baked into your lesson price. And because I was talking to one of my previous co-workers when I worked at Kogaksha, and he started working on italki a couple of years ago too. And I'm always telling him like your prices are way too cheap, because if your computer breaks and you need to spend 2,000 yen on a good laptop or something, because when teaching online is your job, you need to have reliable equipment. If you don't charge very much money for your lessons, replacing your computer is going to take a month of your salary away from you. Now, of course, it can be used as an expense, but it's not going to reduce your taxes by that much. So when you think about your lesson prices, for example, yesterday was actually a really good day for me. I had an hour and 45 minutes of lessons in the morning before my daughter's piano lesson. And I think just from that an hour and 45 minutes, I made 7,500 yen, because one of the lessons was an IELTS lesson, which was an hour, which was like 4,800 yen just for that 1 hour. And then the other lesson was maybe just a 45-minute 3 conversation lesson. And then in the evening, I had 5.5 hours straight, but 6 of them were 30-minute lessons. And then the reason why 30-minute lessons work so well is because if you charge 2,500 yen for 30 minutes, that means for 3 hours of work, you've made what? 15,000 yen, because that's 6 times 2,500. So I think by the end of yesterday, I made like 31,000 yen in a day, which if I was able to replicate that 15 times, only working half a month, that's 450,000 yen. So those things are really, those things are really important when costing your lessons. I would say I'd make another video about that, but I think I went into pretty big detail right there. So considering those 6 sources of income, my income for May was 858,840 yen. Now, of course, that's very good. I do have to minus the 316,000 because that wouldn't be regular income. But even doing that, that would leave me with around 540,000 yen. And my goal when I went freelance and I went solo was that I was hoping to make 450,000 yen a month. And the reason why I chose that number is because if you multiply that by 12, it ends up on around 5.4 million a year, which is around the average income in Japan. So if I can make like 20% more than that already, hopefully things are looking pretty good, because as we get into the summer, I do actually have a couple of projects already lined up, working with other schools, working with other companies as kind of like an in and out role. I just go and help for a few days just to keep the connections good. And of course, as I launch school, I'm hoping I can get a few members already for that. So it's looking quite good for the 450 on average. And of course, my wife's working full time too. She got her bonus today, which is obviously a massive help as well. So we're not really in any rush to scramble, at least for now. But yeah, that was my income for May 2026. Thanks all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.